Would you rather be gifted a $1,000 knife or 10 $100 knives? This is from @lumberjack, and they said they are an avid outdoorsman in Colorado who enjoys fly fishing, backpacking, and road trips. Man, that sounds so fun. I wish I could.
That is the life.
Francisco's_finds asks, do you believe buying the clone of a tool/knife is justified to try it out?
Ooh, touchy subject.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Carry the Way, the weekly podcast where we nerd out about all things EDC gear and maybe try to teach you a thing or two while we're at it. I'm Bernard, the founder of everydaycarry.com, and I'm joined by our editor, Mikey.
Hey, we're back.
Yeah. So if you're new to the show, welcome. Here we talk about the latest in EDC gear, answer questions from the community, and review pocket dump submissions from our viewers. If you've listened before, we just want to thank you so much for the support and also give you a reminder to hit the thumbs up, to like the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel. So you can go ahead and also click that gear icon and speed us up because we're going to get to our yapping. So Mikey, what do you got in your pockets these days?
I just came back from a very short trip, a very tiring trip. And man, I went to Manila over the weekend and it is so hot and so humid. I was just dying.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And since I couldn't bring my usual tools with me, I brought three things I have with me now that were essential for the trip. One, I'm not wearing my Apple Watch anymore, so I'm wearing a regular watch. This is the Luminox Navy SEAL 3001, just a little
Nice.
hardy quartz diver,
Yep.
classic, uses tritium tubes, nice and very lightweight, which is really important. I didn't want something heavy.
What size is that?
This is supposedly it's 43 millimeter, but it feels
You
small.
got a huge wrist, bro.
I have a 7.5-inch wrist.
Okay.
But yeah, so this supposedly this feels like a 41, but it says 43. I don't know. The other one, essential. I mentioned this at the start of the year, and bam, it's still the MVP. The portable fan. Everybody around me at the concert I went to had one of these in some variation or form because it was just, oh my god, it was unbelievably hot. And since it was a sweaty concert, I just brought like a random vial of cologne with me just to top up in between like long line waiting and stuff. This is from the House of Mancera. This is Red Tobacco, if anybody was curious. Nice longevity. Stood with me with the whole day. Smelled nice. Set myself apart from the other sweaty concert goers.
Okay, I wouldn't say Red Tobacco from Mancera is like a summer scent, but
no, definitely
go
not.
off. Okay.
But yeah, it kept me musky through the entire day. Just giving off the red tobacco flavor.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so
anything.
So you are like in the same position I was in the last episode. Basically.
Yes,
you were traveling to Manila and I was traveling to you from Manila, and it's just like you just can't carry anything, bro, and you're just gonna suffer.
And I was one bagging it because I literally couldn't spare any space and I couldn't spare any time. So I was like, I couldn't carry anything with a sharp edge or anything, not even like my multi-tool I usually carry with me. So it was just the fan and a watch and cash, pretty much. Yeah. So how about you? Anything new since you've been back?
Dude, I have so much mail that got delivered when I had to take this trip and I was gone for like 10 days. So I have so much mail of like all this new gear, but I have not really had a chance to like dig in and test some new stuff. So nothing really new. And the stuff that is new that I'm using is from Ridge, but I can't show it on camera because by the time this gets published, none of it is released yet. So just testing some stuff there. But I will say that it's some really sharp stuff. It's quite nice. And I was able to... Am I giving too much away? I was able to test some of it while my volunteering group finally like restarted again for the summer. Super happy about that. Yeah. So this past weekend, I was using it on the shift, whatever gear that might be, processing, packaging, and cardboard. And I was using that, and that was pretty fun. So I'm testing that, but I can't really show it or talk about it yet. And then the rest of the gear is pretty much the same. So yeah. Just gonna
there's a
get back
lot
into the
of
swing of things.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff coming out from everywhere. Like this has been, I think, the year with the most gear releases I can remember since
Hmm.
ever. Like we are getting new gear releases on a weekly basis, if not daily. I'm getting mail every single
Yeah.
day from
Yeah.
companies left and right.
Same.
So
Yeah.
it's an exciting time to be in EDC. Now that we've all like passed our expenditures during the pandemic, now that we don't have any extra money,
Yeah.
now everything starts coming out.
Yeah. Well, so we have a bunch of news stuff that we will talk about on the show. But before we get into that, let's do a little sponsored segment.
Hmm.
So, yes, cue the music. Um, Carry the Way is brought to you by our parent company, Ridge, and they're doing a massive sweepstakes this year. And the winner can get either a gold plated Cybertruck or a Hennessy Velociraptor or $100,000 cash. So you can enter for free, but if you do buy gear from Ridge, every dollar you spend is one entry into the sweepstakes. But you can get 4 times the amount of entries if you purchase this year's sweepstakes exclusive products. So I can show you some of them. This is the Cyber Ridge wallet in this really slick brushed stainless steel with like the
That
custom
is
logo.
that is the
Um,
one. That is the
yeah,
one
and
for me.
the money clip branding in that typeface. Also, there's a matching key case with it, so you can get this as a kit. And then, if you're on the other team, there's the Hennessy Performance Forged Carbon in matte with their blue and their logo there. And then
Mhm.
there's also the matching key case. So very slick, and you get 4 times the amount entries here. And you can enter to win and learn more about it using our link in the description, ridge.com/carry the way. And you can use the code carry the way for 10% off your order. And it just supports the podcast and everydaycarry.com. So let us know in the comments which prize you would pick: the gold plated Cybertruck, the Hennessy Velociraptor, or the 100K in cash. Mikey, what would you pick?
100K cash, easy,
Yeah, yeah,
easy.
yeah. I think, yeah, I want
Because
that 100 bands.
I don't think I can ship the Cybertruck over here without it actually destroying me financially forever, like forever. But yeah,
Okay.
but my pick for the wallet definitely is the Cyber. Like that is just like 100% all everything that I want from a really slick, uh,
Yeah,
kind of Y2K ish font too. I really
yeah.
like
I
it.
mean,
Yeah,
I think it's cool. So I think the ad read is over, but
yeah.
I think this is cool to me because the brushed. It's like brushed, but also kind of polished at the same time. It just
Mhm.
reminds me of like finishing on a watch, for example,
Yeah.
like a steel watch. So I like that. Looks pretty good. So yeah, let's jump into the actual news. I'm going to share my screen. So we are starting with the Loop Gear SK05 flashlight.
Hmm. So this is from the company Loop Gear, which has been on our radar for a couple of years now as one of the kind of like they're doing something that nobody else does, and their design language is very distinct, and they have a
Yeah.
couple of things going for them. In like it's not just so I'm gonna hold up the first one that they did. This is the SK01S. This was an originally an LEP
Hmm.
type of flashlight, which is kind of like a laser excited phosphor type flashlight. They started with this, and the thing that made this really stand out is not only is it like a decent flashlight, it also got some fidgety stuff with it. Like the locking mechanism is kind of like a reload type thing. The retainer ring is a fidgety spinner thing.
Hmm.
There's another fidgety spinner thing here, and that's carried on to the rest of their products. So their next one was a more handheld one. This is a double A size. This is the SK03, and their design philosophy again of maximizing the space and making it a little bit more fidgety and kind of like more interesting. The clip is actually like a multi-tool, so you can.
Yeah.
This has a magnet that can attach to stuff. It comes with like a knife that pops a
Bottle
little tiny,
opener.
yeah,
Yeah.
bottle opener slash edge at the very end. And yeah, so that's been the history of Loop Gear. And now this is their latest thing, the SK05. It's kind of jumping on the trend of these side by side, either double LED flashlights or like a dual function one. In this case, it's a dual one where half of it is one half is LEDs for flood, the other
Mm-hmm.
half is an LED for a spotlight, and
Mm-hmm.
then there on the side of it is like a selection of LEDs as well for
It's like
like
a light bar, right?
exactly, yeah. So it's like a work light, a task light, and they've also somehow managed to add some additional power bank functionality for up to 18 watts.
Mm-hmm.
And there is just to like add a couple of just true to their design philosophy, like even the battery reload
Yeah.
has its like a
The battery hatch,
fidgetable,
like, psh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it snaps open. And even the selector is not just like a button, it's a rotator ring,
Yeah.
so there's
I see
just
it
like a
here.
more tactile experience
Yeah.
to operating the light. And you know me, I love my rotating um interfaces.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's like a side by side flashlight, does a lot of things. And they're gonna start their Kickstarter very soon, and you can reserve the slot for its cheapest version at $89 by putting a down payment of $1 before the Kickstarter starts. So
Okay, so if you use our link and then you go there and you pay $1, that gives
mhm,
you access to get it for $89.
$89. Yeah,
Okay. So
that's right.
deposit $1 and you save half price basically.
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
you get the chance to reserve a slot to get it at its most affordable price point, because like Kickstarter, as they run out of those slots, it gets slightly more and more expensive.
Right.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah.
Well, I will say I do enjoy loop gear stuff. It is the flashlight that I carry in my
Mhm.
pouch all the time, the
Same.
SK03 that you mentioned in
Yeah.
titanium.
So
I like a lot of the features and the design language. I also appreciate that. I called this, by the way. I said the future of flashlights is rectangular, and
you did. Yeah.
what do we got here, right? So, I think this will be really cool. It seems a little bit big for me. I don't think all this functionality is enough for me to switch over to it from their smaller offering. But like
Yeah.
if you're like Mikey and you just like flashlights, I think
I
you're just
do.
going to love this thing.
Yeah. And it's like, considering it's a 2 by 18650, it's still kind of more compact than even the SK01, which is I believe this is a 2700. Let me double check. But I think they're making the most out of the space. So
Yeah.
it's not too bad.
Yeah. Does it
Yeah.
have a pocket clip? I don't
It
think so,
does.
right? Oh, it
On the
does.
back, I think.
We'll see it. Hopefully
Yeah.
they send us some prototypes or samples or
Yeah.
something. We get to
We
play with
love
it.
yeah. Can't wait to
Yeah.
test it.
Um, this is really cool. What is your favorite feature on here? If you had to pick, because there's so many when it comes to loop gear
The
stuff.
rotator selector. That's always gonna be my favorite thing.
What a
Because
loser. No.
the
Okay.
selector.
Yeah. Wow.
But if not that, the side lights, because I really like using flashlights as ambient light. If I'm especially
Yeah.
since I've been working in the dark like for a decade now, and sometimes I'm in a room where other people are sleeping and I'm just by myself on the laptop, and I
Yeah.
need just like a side illumination just to not go absolutely like darkness crazy.
No,
And
I
I
would
do
agree
like
with
side
you.
lights.
I
Yeah.
would agree with you because, like, I think when I first started getting into flashlights, I was all about like, oh my god, the power, the throw,
Mm.
the overall output. Like, that's what I need. But then now that I'm like, like I get it, it's fun. I understand that flashlights can be bright now from the palm of my hand. Like, that's cool. Now,
Mm.
like the more practical option is to me, it's like something uh like side lights or something where it's just like I need soft wide illumination for a close-up task and I don't want to disturb other people and I'm not going to do it for like 30 days straight.
And
uh,
even better, it comes with like 8 colors on the side light. So if you need
yeah,
like mood
for
lighting for
exactly because
some
yeah,
sort,
because like if we're doing content creation or something that might
yeah,
come in more handy in our just actual
exactly.
day-to-day job, right?
Yeah,
Versus
like a random fill light or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I know a lot of people listening that like that's not their world and like they would totally love the spotlight for like outdoors application. So that's
yeah.
why it's cool that it just has all this stuff in a very cool futuristic design language that is very much loop gear. I really like that. So
And I've been a fan of the side by side LED type flashlights, like the rectangular side, for a long time now. Ever since remember the Tip SE from Nightcore?
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was one of the very affordable first keychain ones that had like the side by side LED. and then you had the side buttons on it. That was when I started noticing that they started like the meta started shifting to the rectangular stuff. And yeah, I love the fact that you can have both. Why not have both, right? Flood and
Yeah.
a spotlight for
Yeah.
whatever you
A
need.
couple of episodes ago, we featured a CRKT knife that
Mm,
was like themed after Gundam. And
yeah.
this just also reminds me of like anime. This is giving me like
S-
Kaiju number 8
Yeah.
vibes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, look at all of their other stuff.
Yeah,
It's
true.
like these are props from sci-fi,
Yeah, like Star Wars and yeah.
like time to lock in. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
cool. So that's exciting. Hopefully, by the time people see this, they can still get in on this like dollar reservation thing.
Yeah.
So we'll have a link to that in the description as well. So moving on to the next one, we have the Field Notes Index Edition, and I think this is really cool. It's kind of like it's not your usual Field Notes where you just like
Blank
jotting down and
pages.
scratch paper. Yeah, this is like actually designed for tracking and planning and logging and lists and that kind of stuff.
Mm,
So that speaks to me. I'm the type to do that a lot when I'm writing stuff down. So it's cool to have like a dedicated field notes EDC worthy kind of version of that. And this
yeah.
one is extra EDC, by the way, because I think it's the first field notes to have a pocket in the cover in the back. So
Mm.
when
And
your carry has carry, yeah.
people in the comments are like, "Well, this guy's been doing it for 30 years."
Yeah.
Way
uh,
to catch up, Phil. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
But yeah, so when I first saw this, it reminded me of the Hobonichi Techo
The
weeks.
Japanese, yeah,
Yeah, the
planner.
Japanese, like it's a series of planners where you have some of them are like more tailored for weekly tasks, some of them are tailored for daily tasks, some of them for like monthly type tasks. And this reminds me just like the whole it's giving you a template of how to like
Yeah,
create tasks and to track them. And it's not something that Field Notes has ever done before, so it's really really interesting. It's usually just like you said, it's just blank pages, standard,
yeah,
really reliable. It's been their like bread and butter for the longest time, and now they're doing something like really interesting, really different, and plays to the sensibilities of people looking for a more offline thing. If we can't all be in Obsidian and Notion every single day. Some of us, want to sit down and write stuff in a nice table and
yeah,
track it in a nice formatted logbook.
yeah.
And yeah,
So yeah, the log books. I think trying to show an insert here. It's kind of like you can rate stuff in here, like log what you've done or experienced or something, and then like have your own notes on them. So here you can see like different examples, like if you're reading books or whatever, or if you're trying different beers. So there's that, and then there's also part of this pack. Interestingly, it's like not just one layout, right? So the pack has these different um, notebooks with different layouts in them. So
mhm,
there's the log one, there's the date book. So this one's like weekly and monthly, I believe.
yeah, like a regular
Yeah,
planner
and
style.
then
Yeah.
ledger is kind of like the page format is in a way that you can like track expenses, like running
Mhm.
expenses better. So it's like a good overall system if you want to stay analog and portable and pocketable and do all these things like log, list, and plan. So
And what's nice about Field Notes is for the longest time, I don't think they've ever gone over $15, if even for like the special editions.
mm,
So they've been like all reliable, even down to the price for the longest time. And they're still doing new stuff every single year. So really, really, I think last year was like some of the foil design stuff. I remember
mhm.
we did a feature on that. And yeah, this year this is their new index
Yeah.
series. Yeah.
And then yeah, just like so people know that there's like the two packs, right? But then one of them is just the logbook and it's two, but then the other one is one ledger and one date. So
Mm,
if you want like the entire system, you'd have to like spend closer to $30 to get both, I think.
mhm.
Um, but you have options to pick. And I don't know, Mikey. I personally haven't carried field notes in a while.
Mhm.
And I can't say that I see too many in EDC photos these days. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, because it's still on the larger side. 3.5
Hmm.
inch by 5.5 inch is still like this is the original. notebook standard, right?
Yeah.
But then people are discovering they want maybe the size of a folded index card or something they can slip into their wallet, or like
I mean,
I
this is what
really
I
like the
use.
old.
Mine
Yeah, I'm
small.
using Nemosine B7. I think that's A7. What size is that?
This is A7.
A7.
It's
Yeah, I'm
just like a
using the
spiral flip. Yeah.
yeah, I'm using those size just above that, the B7.
Yeah.
And I like that because that's the reason I haven't used anything else, because it's using the Tomoe River 68 GSM paper, which is just
Okay.
like
Okay, you
absolutely
nerd.
silky smooth.
Sure.
Guys, Tomoe River 68 GSM is going to change your life. Check out those Nemesis notebooks, but also check out these field notes as well.
Okay,
But
I'm gonna
yeah,
walk back that claim that it's gonna change your life. Mikey's just getting a little carried away there. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, you're right. I haven't seen. I see a lot of the plain black one. I think that's the most
Hmm.
common one,
I think I see
just
the orange
because.
one.
Yeah, just because the black one, it just like goes with everything.
Hmm.
It's the thing that all of the leather covers are built around. Like the leather covers you'd see in Etsy or other places. They're all
True.
built around the 3.5 inch by 5.5 inch, specifically field notes size. So it's a pretty standard EDC size. But yeah, I can see why it can be a bit large eventually,
Hmm.
and some people would shift to like smaller notebooks like we have. But yeah, maybe this still. But if you take a look at like the Hobonichi Weeks or like the other Nemosine size notebooks, there is a market for larger notebooks. And if you're like a student taking notes and you really want the bigger platform, I think I wouldn't want to like take notes all day on a little notepad. For me, I'd rather like a
True.
much larger notebook personally.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. I will caveat though, if you are a student, I don't recommend spending on Japanese
No,
stationery. Like, yeah, there you got a lot of expenses, and you don't
Bernard
need.
used to.
Yeah, yeah. This is a cautionary tale. You don't need to. You're not gonna get straight A's because you have like an entire Japanese stationery set.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, curious what people think of like field notes in 2024. If you guys carry any, like, let us know in the comments because we're not seeing them in the pocket dumps. But
Hmm.
maybe it's just like they're not. I don't know.
And then you switch to the tab with the pocket dumps, and one is right there.
Yeah,
So
it's
shows us right.
we'll see about that. But
Yeah.
let's finish off with another flashlight. This is the Streamlight ProTac 2AA-X USB
USB.
flashlight. Yes,
Speaking of Gundam names.
I know.
Yeah. So this is nothing really flashy about it. This is the latest in the long line of Streamlight ProTac lights. Very, very long and reliable and popular EDC choice for flashlights across the board of battery types.
Yeah.
So this is the latest one that is 2 AA,
Yes.
but is also comes with its own like extra large, extra long
Mhm.
USB rechargeable
Rechargeable.
battery,
Yeah.
but it is the size of two AA's. And the ProTac line is kind of like their very robust, tactical-ish, very hardy aluminum, super reliable line of flashlights. That you can get one everything from like one. I believe the smallest one is a 2 by AAA or 1 by AAA, if not the MicroStream.
Hmm.
But anyway, the ProTac is a very long line of reliable and popular flashlights. And this is the latest and greatest with the 10 tap programming. It has the USB rechargeable 2 by AA sized lithium polymer battery.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're a Streamlight fan, you already know what's up. Long ever since we started in EDC, Streamlight has been around.
Yeah, I
And
would say like this is an interesting addition to the news roundup just because it serves as a foil to the first flashlight we showed from Loop Gear, right? So
right.
if Loop Gear is like emerging meta, cutting edge, like they make things that look out of like sci-fi movies from the future,
Hmm.
Streamlight is like old guard. It's like if none of that appeals to you, you don't care. You just want something like reliable, affordable, and convenient. Like Streamlight is a good go-to.
Hmm.
And people appreciate like, especially flashlight people. There's some people who are like, oh, I want the convenience of USB-C, and you get that here. But then there are other people who would never switch to a modern flashlight because, oh, I can't use user replaceable AA's. Well, you can with this one, and I believe Streamlight calls this like their dual fuel platform,
Yeah.
um, where you can like choose what kind of power source you use. So if
Yeah.
I do want to note that the specs change, right? So if you're using the lithium ion, you're going to get a high of 550 lumens.
Mhm.
But then if you're using alkaline double A's, you only get 270 lumens.
Yeah,
But
which is still a lot.
yeah, that's plenty. That's much more than you need, I think.
I've also come to appreciate the longer form factor, like the inspection type lights, where it's a bit
Hmm.
it sticks out of your hand a little bit. I don't know. It's something with my thumb that I find it hard to press, like the really recessed buttons on the smaller flashlights. So I like the longer pen form factors because especially if they have a button that's a bit more proud, it's easier for me to
Hmm.
press, and you just have like the full hand grip on the flashlight. So I've come to appreciate,
Mm.
yeah. And then I just like if I have a backpack with like a molly on it, it's nice to have just like it hanging there, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, you hold your single flashlights like ice pick grip?
Yes.
You don't cigar grip?
I cigar grip the ones with the top or the side button. Oh, cigar grip? No, very rarely. This is the most comfortable for me. I'm holding up
Okay.
my cologne, but
Yeah,
this is the most
we're
comfortable.
just like, yeah,
This is
cigar
yeah,
gripping key cases and
yeah,
colonial vials. Interesting. Well,
yeah.
okay. I might say that that is a skill issue then, because I think
It
cigar grip
is.
would work well for single cell
It's
lights. But
it's my thumb isn't as opposable as I think it is, so that's just it's a me issue.
okay, okay.
Anyway,
Well, yeah. Anyway, if people are into just a newer flashlight, but not too new, right? Like kind of has that old guard flavor, pretty familiar and
IPX7
proven.
IPX7 is actually pretty very good. A lot of even modern flashlights are up to like IPX5
Mm.
or IP56. It's very rare that flashlights go up to IPX7 or IPX8 even.
Yeah, for people who
So
don't know what you're blabbering about, what are you
yeah,
talking about?
that's the waterproof rating of the flashlight for against dirt and water ingress.
Hmm.
And the higher the number, so if you start from like IPX4 and then you go 5, 6, and then IPX7,
Hmm.
IPX8 being the highest, I believe IPX8 is up to 2 meters underwater and up falls from up to 5 feet. That's the most robust like standard for dropping a flashlight
Okay.
and still be functional.
Can I just
Yeah.
like put you on the spot and like test you real quick?
Hmm.
Is there such thing as like IP and then a number, maybe a double digit number? Because for some reason I'm thinking of like IP58 or IP68. I don't know if that's like real.
I think there's an IP55 and then an IP56. And then it's X. There's probably a whole document. X I think is
Uh-huh.
maximum for dust. And then
Okay.
there's a
Yeah, there's
six anyway.
IP55 and IP65.
Okay, there you
Interesting.
go. Yeah, yeah. And
Well,
then X is the limit for dust, I believe.
okay.
So one of those numbers is dust, one of those is water.
Okay.
Yeah,
And this looks to be quite high. So
very
good
high.
on Streamlight for making some bomb proof stuff.
I
Let's
love me some bomb proof.
Yeah, so let's move on then to our community questions. So here are some questions. Every Monday on Instagram, we'll post a story and we'll just be like, hey, what questions do you want answered on the podcast? And then this is where these come from. So thanks to everyone who sends in some questions. There are a couple of questions that we got this week that we've basically already done entire episodes on. So one is from plus minus 10 seconds and says, what is your bare minimum carry? I think you should go back to the archives and watch episode 29, where we talk about what is your EDC when no one's watching. That's basically kind of the answer to that question.
Yep.
And then mpost 2009 asks, in your opinion, what is the best blade shape for EDC? That's what we did last episode. So episode 31, I think,
Hmm.
or yeah, like a couple episodes back. So we did talk about best blade shape for EDC. So you can watch those episodes for that answer. But for this episode, some new questions that we think are interesting. Francisco's underscore finds asks, do you believe buying the clone of a tool slash knife is justified to try it out?
Ooh, touchy subject. Touchy. Um, I am going to say no. I don't think supporting knockoffs is the move and I don't see myself being able to justify supporting knockoffs. And I have a couple of good reasons for that. Number one is we work with a lot of these companies, not just like knives, like bag makers, designers,
Mm-hmm.
industrial designers, and we know the work that a lot of them have put in to make a
Mm-hmm.
dent in the business and still struggle. And
Oh
then to
yeah.
see to see somebody just copy the whole design and then just sell it for like a tenth of the price is it's just kind of like an insult to the hard work and everything, right?
Right.
um and I've known enough makers over the years to be like, I really want to fully support them. So and that's just been ingrained with me to like, why would I buy a knockoff of something? I'd rather just like save up for it.
Right.
I think there is an exception to be made here. I think the main two arguments that people are going to make here is, number one, what if it's something that is not available anymore? And then number
Mm.
two, what if it's not something that is functionally available from anybody else? I am going to use the example of the Benchmade Balisong 42. You can no longer buy that new. And the size and the weight and the feel of it is very specific. And there
Okay.
is no other company that makes it that looks like that and flips the way that it does. That is why there is a whole market over the past few years of like clones specifically for that original Benchmade 42. So I can see the arguments that some
Mm-hmm.
people would make for that. But for like regular stuff, like if you're buying a knockoff bug out, or if you're like buying a knockoff Gorak backpack, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or some other stuff, I'm like, I would rather just personally, I would rather
Yeah.
bite the bullet and save up and buy the real thing down the line. What do you think?
I think it's interesting that you brought up like the edge cases where something is just like unavailable. So like there
Hmm.
is no access to the original. So it's like, but I don't think that's what this question is asking. I don't
Hmm.
think that's the use case. But I do recognize that. And
Yeah.
for me, not necessarily from like EDC, but like say I used to collect retro video game hardware, and like they
Hmm.
just don't make new Game Boys, right? But then other people have like manufactured basically like almost one-to-one copies of like an old Game Boy or something using
Hmm.
their hardware, and they develop their whatever.
Hmm.
And I could see why you would buy that, just so that, because there's only a finite amount of like not OEM, but like original. uh
Hardware.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, to answer this question, do I believe that buying a clone of a tool or knife is justified to try it out? I don't think so. And while I agree with what you're saying about like supporting the original maker and like uh, IP and all that, I where I was thinking here is like, to try it out, you're not going to be able to try it out. It's not going to be the exact
That's a
experience
good
that
point.
you're saving for, right?
That's a
So,
good point.
and like, okay, disclaimer again, like our parent company is Ridge, and Ridge deals with knockoffs of their wallets all the time.
Hmm.
And people are like, oh, you could just go and buy like a knockoff of that somewhere and it's the same thing, but it's not though. It's like you don't get the same materials, finish, like quality.
Screws,
Yeah, screws,
the
like
elastic.
or even like customer support and all that stuff. And
Hmm.
I guess you can get a facsimile or like a an idea of the experience, but it's
Hmm.
not exactly the same. So I don't think it's even a fair way to try it out. Like, if that makes sense.
We skipped over one important clone piece of gear. What about watches? What if I
What do you
buy
mean?
like a what if
Like you just buy a rep, just
yeah,
like a super clone of something?
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I still don't. But that to me, that's more of like the, like, why do you buy a watch, right? So
Yeah.
for some people, they might buy a watch for like, I don't know, perceived social status.
Hmm.
Um, Other people buy it for like the actual heritage and like,
The
the
story.
craftsmanship, the brand, like all that. There's a connection there, and like the performance and stuff. I
Yeah.
don't think that like replicas ever get the same kind of performance. It's really just a visual um, kind of replica.
And I
So
think, okay, so this is like, I don't know if this could be like a hot take. I don't like reps in general, like not just for watches, but for like sneakers and like clothes and
yeah.
everything. I hate because you're trying to buy into the story of why you want to wear it in the first place, but you're kind of like skipping the even if it's like a perceived or like a inflated value, you're still
Hmm.
kind of like skipping the line and just like you're buying something just to show that you're able to buy something and wear it, right?
Uh-huh.
So there's that you're I don't know. There's a whole nuanced discussion here that I'm probably not
Yeah,
prepared to tackle, but
I'm like
yeah,
that's an entirely, I think that's an
yeah,
entirely separate cultural discussion
yeah,
about like
yeah,
consumerism and like what that means per person.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway,
I'm just gonna dodge that. Let's
let's
move.
narrow it back to this actual question of
Yeah.
a clone of a tool slash knife being justified to try it out. I still don't think, for the most part, clones of things will have the same performance of the original genuine tool, so that it's like you can maybe get an idea of just like the ergonomics or something, or like the shape, like if you like what it looks like, but chances are like the actual performance of it, the finishing, maybe the weight, or just like small nuances in the design or the materials, even like it probably won't match up. So I don't think it's worth it.
Would you really buy like a knockoff Leatherman to use like as your main tool if it's something you're gonna be relying on
Yeah.
for like serious tasks, right?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
so. I think our stance on this is clear, but just to like add to the answer, I guess, there's so much more that I think goes into judging or qualifying something worth carrying beyond just the literal performance of it, I guess. So
Mhm.
what am I trying to say? There are intangibles to the purchase of an original product, I think,
Yeah.
that it's like not really there to factor in for people. And I would suspect that most people listening here would agree with us, of
Mhm.
like saving up for the genuine and trying to avoid knockoffs if possible. That's what I would
Yeah.
think. However,
I hope so.
I can
I hope so.
acknowledge that for a lot of people, the reason why they would want to buy something, a clone of something to try it out, is because it is not super accessible in terms of price. And that is
Mhm.
fair. A lot of things get expensive now, but I still think it's better in general for everything to save for quality for the things you care about, especially things that you interface with your body, like if you're holding something. I think that's important. And if you, yeah, and if you care about it, I think it's worth saving up for, because like if we say we're EDC enthusiasts and we're just buying like knockoff clone stuff, and it's like we're missing out on so much, I think.
And I think my final argument here is there is probably an alternative out there at a lower price point of pretty much anything that's out there
Mhm.
without having to resort to like a clone or a knockoff.
Yeah, like IP theft or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there is fun to be had to finding those hidden gems. Like you don't have to buy if you want just like a dive watch that's reliable and not too expensive, there's always going to be the Casio Duro. You don't have to buy like a knockoff Rolex Submariner.
You can
If
go to like a store and like try it on, or like handle something, or like buy something and like return it if you don't like abuse it, right?
Also, one of the very first EDC knives I bought was just like a checkout special at a hardware store.
Hmm.
I just had it on my keychain, and it literally exploded in my hand.
Oh my.
I was trying to cut through a box, and then the blade just like snapped out of the pivot because it was just like some low quality
Yeah.
plastic thing. So yeah, so like you were saying earlier, you're not gonna get like the full quality out of the real thing most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're aware that there are some super reps out there, like super clones,
Hmm.
that like could possibly approximate the real thing, but not
I think,
always. And yeah,
yeah, I think that's kind of out of the scope of the question anyway.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Anyway, yeah.
yeah, pretty interesting. I'm curious what people think about that. So thanks, Francisco's Finds, for the question. Let's move on to the next one. This one is from longtime follower Misael.wave. They said, "Are there any EDC items that are considered controversial within the community, and or an item that has both great fans and nasty haters at the same time?" My answer: literally everything, bro. Anything you can think of has both its fans and its haters. And even if something is unanimously beloved by the community, there are going to be people who just hate the general thing of that thing anyway. Like we're talking about pocket knives, for example. We can say the Benchmade bug out. The Benchmade bug out will have diehard fans who bought the original. It's like, oh, this is the best knife ever. That's why everyone copies it. There are other people who just hate Benchmade for no reason, or they're just going to be like, oh, that, you know, that knife is overpriced now. It's like, whatever. Then you have people like who are just like, I don't like knives in general, but I like EDC. Can people stop posting knives? So you're not gonna win, I think.
Yeah. I always like to make the joke that any knife, like, get ready, because if you ask anybody about any knife, somebody out there is going to hate it. Like, guaranteed, 100%. Any knife at any price point from any brand, somebody out there is going to think it's a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I have an actual answer to this, but I
yeah.
probably should keep it to myself. But that is literally anything. We have experience in this as well, because we post like stuff to social and we talk about stuff, and we always get comments of like, "What are you doing carrying that?" Or
Yeah.
like, yeah. So we deal with this constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly.
I think of the controversial ones, I can think of a few like general umbrella concepts of products that would be controversial, right?
Mhm.
So one would be things that are expensive, just like luxury tier or
Luxury
enthusiast tier, where
tier.
it's too
Yeah.
expensive. People are just gonna have opinions about that. I think things that are not purely utilitarian. So if there's any fun allowed, or just like anything not related to solving a task or like building or destroying something,
How
like,
dare you carry a fidget toy?
yeah, exactly.
How dare you?
Yeah, so that's another thing that's like a disgrace to the term EDC, right?
Yeah.
What else? Things that are not literally carried every day. So things that are rotated in for a specific task. Some people are like pedantic about the semantics of that. And they're like, that's not an EDC. So there's that.
Things that are not clearly showing signs of wear.
Yeah, dude. And that, like, I've been wanting to make a video about this, or just maybe I'll just speak this into existence right now. But say, for example, if I say that I carry a wallet, right? Like this wallet in my EDC. But if you look at it, it has no wear on it. But what if I told you that every day over the past 5 years, I've replaced one component of this modular wallet? So it's like the Ridge wallet of Theseus. Is this still my EDC? Like if it no longer contains any original components of when I first bought it and started using it.
Damn.
See?
Yeah.
How can the internet haters even come for me for that? Like there's no way they would know. They could just see this and be like, oh, this fool's never used like this wallet a day in his life. Joke's on you. I've been carrying it for longer than you've been into EDC or something. You know, like who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I have okay. I will say my one answer. I'm really not a fan of single finger knucks. I just,
Okay.
that's just, I just hate the whole concept of them. I know there's like a whole market for them, and they're marketed as like bottle openers and stuff, but oh man, I really, really do not like single finger knucks.
Okay, so
Yeah.
since you're obviously biased, I will try
Yeah.
to explain what I think a single finger knuck is. It's basically like a piece of material with a hole in it, right? Where theoretically you can slip that onto your finger like a ring, and you can use it for percussive application, right? But I think practically people would say that like that is not a good form of self-defense, or it takes up too much space in your pocket for like no reason. But then some people would argue you open bottles with it. Yeah. I mean,
They sell it as a bottle opener or something.
okay. I feel like just,
Yeah.
let people like what they like, I guess. But yeah, I'm not going to be carrying one of those. I don't think personally.
I am
already
so
got stuff on my
personally,
fingers.
I'm personally invested in not liking it so bad.
Yeah. So I think that's I think then those like fringe, how would you even describe this as like a general term? It's like fringe
Pocket
utility. Pocket trash. Okay. Well, some might apply that to like the luxury stuff or the fidget stuff. But I think this is like, because I think so besides single finger knucks, I also think of like pry bars or like
Or how about
tiny pliers.
like challenge coins and like all of those other stuff are like little handcrafted totem type
Mm.
things. It's
I think the single finger knuck gets an added layer of controversial reception or whatever because it can be used in self defense, which is already like this whole other discussion.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, I don't know. There's just like some kind of vibe about it where it's like a knuck is not the same vibe as like a donut fidget spinner. You know what I mean? It's
I
just
know,
like
yeah,
yeah. So I think people respond differently to it.
yeah,
Um,
very negatively in my case. But anyway,
yeah. Do we have a takeaway to this question? Like
um,
just like no
yeah,
matter what you like, somebody out there hates it, and just
exactly,
everybody
yeah,
just maybe be a little bit more tolerable to other people. Like you don't
yeah.
want to yuck people's yum. I think that's
That's fair. That's fair.
yeah,
And just like carry what you like. I mean, who we're just two dudes just yapping here. We're not out here to tell anybody what to carry or what not to
sure.
carry. And just be I guess the takeaway is be mindful of the fact that if you're gonna post something out there, probably somebody's gonna disagree with it or like have a violent reaction to it.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
just don't post stuff out there.
yeah, that's it. Like if you're watching this now, then we're not even taking our own advice. We actually
Yeah.
published this episode, so that was
Yeah.
our mistake, our bad.
Hmm.
Okay, so thank you for that. Let's move on to hopefully a lighter-hearted question.
Yeah.
This one is from our Facebook group. The OD Gringo top contributor asked, "Would you rather be gifted a $1,000 knife or 10 $100 knives?"
Mm.
Mm.
I think I'm at the point in EDC where I would like to see $1,000 knife. But I like the first answer of Carl Rose down there.
Hmm.
The one knife, if I can
Oh,
choose.
if you can choose.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I think I'd appreciate. I mean, somebody went through the effort of giving me a gift of $1,000 knife. I think I would appreciate whatever it was. But that's just me because
Oh, that's true, huh? Because yeah, this is like a gift scenario.
yeah, it is a gift,
But
not
then
something you're buying yourself.
yes, but is it gifted from some like a loved one? Or is it like you won it in a brand giveaway? Hmm.
What would be the difference for you then?
Well, because if it's from a loved one, oh wait, that's a good question. If it's from a loved one, it's probably something I would keep and not like
Sentimental.
resell. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it probably means a lot more if they're willing to spend
$1,000.
1,000 on one thing versus I don't know. This is requiring me to do math and emotional work at the same time. That's very
Right, right.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So gut answer. I think just from as a like I don't even know how to explain this. Not a minimalist because I do collect things, but I also recognize now the burden of ownership when a collection gets too big. I think I want
Mm,
the $1,000 knife.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
I don't want more stuff that I know what to do with. I'd rather have like a few higher quality stuff now.
Yeah.
I'm beyond the point of like excessive hoarding collecting.
Right.
I've done my time there, so I'd rather like one thoughtful thing. Yeah,
Sure.
I'll boil my answer down to that.
Okay. So that's our answer. But I think
Yeah.
for people listening, right? If you don't have a collection of knives already, I think there's way more value in 10
Oh yeah.
$100 knives. There's so many good $100
Oh
knives
yeah.
versus like if you get $1,000 knife, I bet you at like $400, you're like, this is the best a knife can get to me. Like I cannot tell the difference between $1,000 and like $350 when it comes to a
Yeah.
knife.
You're
And
definitely
yeah,
dimensioning return territory at like
insane.
$400
Yeah,
already.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or would you take the 100K cash? Yeah, I think I'd take the 100K.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that should have been the secret third option. So, I don't know. I'm curious this is a fun question. I'm curious what people
Yeah.
think. Leave a comment and let us know. Also, if you pick the $1,000 knife, let us know what that knife is. In this hypothetical situation, you
Ooh.
can pick the knife. So let us
Damn.
know. Yeah. So thank you, OD Gringo, for this very brat themed question here. Okay. That's where my mind went when I saw this green uh,
Yeah.
text. Okay, so let's jump into pocket dumps from the community this week. If you want to submit your pocket dump, you can do that at a form that we have either on our website. So you can go to everydaycarry.com and then there will be a link on the top that says submit your EDC, or you can do that from our show notes description and that will be linked as well. So this first EDC is from.
Don't do it.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Lum8 or Jack.
Yes.
This is from at Lumberjack. And
Mhm.
they said they are an avid outdoorsman in Colorado who enjoys fly fishing, backpacking, and road trips. Man, that sounds so fun. I wish I could
That is the
be doing
life.
that. Yeah.
That is the
So
life.
they said, I try to carry a well rounded EDC that is going to help with emergency repairs at camp while I'm fly fishing or at the local brewery. And their item list here, they got the Buck Vantage, the Stanley 4-in-1 screwdriver, a Leatherman rebar, the Chums pocket slip, a Zebra pen, and a Case Sodbuster Jr. in that slip right there. So zoom out.
It, is the zebra the only non-USA made item in this list?
I don't know if Chums is USA made.
Right.
But
But
Zebra is
majority
Japanese, yeah. So like the
majority
Buck, the
reliable.
Leatherman, I think the
Yeah.
Case.
Yeah, the
Those are
case.
American brands. So
I haven't seen Chum's wallet in a while, but they were very, very early on in EDC,
yeah,
like one of the early zip wallets that like had was using like ripstop, super lightweight and kind of waterproof, weatherproof ish. They were like surfer wallets, right? The
yeah.
Chum's
This
wallets.
Chum Surf Shorts wallet was like super trending on our website for a long time. It had
Yeah,
like the
for a
little key
long
leash.
time.
It's like cheap. It's light, water
Tons of
resistant.
colors.
Yeah, lots of storage, organization, and like this is like I don't know. I feel not meta defining, but it was kind of ahead of the meta because it's not inherently like EDC coded, I guess, aesthetically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it's not like super tactical or like futuristic and technical, but it is technical, but it's just like a casual accessory from Chums,
yeah.
you know.
It's
So
just
it
a
just
wallet
it
that
just
they
it
make.
just happened to work, yeah. And then now
Yeah,
it's like people are getting like custom made X pack wallets or whatever in the same like
yeah.
format.
In the same style. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And yeah, like your regular nothing really too fancy. Everything obviously designed for like reliability in this
Hmm.
carry. USA made buck knife, very standard flipper. You
Hmm.
have like regular, very accessible Stanley bit driver.
Hmm.
You're not he's not rocking like one of those super fancy titanium bit drivers with like etching on it. That's like two
Yeah,
hundred
yeah,
dollars. Yeah, so this is something you can just pick up at the hardware store, and of course, all reliable Leatherman rebar with
yeah.
ruler markings on it.
To me,
And
this
yeah,
makes a lot of sense, especially for the intended application of just like outdoors travel, fishing, right?
mhm,
Um, just like some water resistance, like some bigger, beefier tools. You got some redundancy here, but it's
mhm,
not too crazy, and it
yeah,
could be like pocketable for like when you're grabbing a drink with friends or whatever at the brewery. So,
yeah.
um, really nicely built out. Good, you know,
I like the not too crazy. I think that's the perfect
yeah, not
that's
too
a perfect
crazy.
description. Not too
Yeah.
crazy.
Not to imply that some other people are too
Yeah.
crazy, but this is a great one from Lumberjack or at Lum8 or Jack. If you like their content, so thank you for submitting that. And let's look at our next submission. This is from at chiltepin underscore EDC, and they
Mhm.
are an agronomist. So what even is that? uh,
I believe from searching on Google earlier,
mhm.
he's a soil scientist and like all around plant guy.
Okay. So they said part
Yeah.
of my EDC rotation as an agronomist, including crop monitoring, drone
Mm,
spraying, and desk diving. I'm familiar with
nice.
desk diving
Mm,
personally. Yes. So what do we got here? We got a Sid H Customs Mark One titanium pry bar, a Raylight pineapple mini brass in Segaha pattern, and then the brass machine era company pen. and
Nice.
a Hinderer XM 18 3.5 skinny slicer.
Wow.
So
Remember when there was the big three like 10 years ago?
like
It was
Strider,
Strider. It was Strider.
Hinderer,
Gosh,
and
Strider, Hinderer, or
ZT.
CRK.
Oh,
No,
oh,
CRK.
really?
Those were those are like the three. Like
Hmm.
I remember it was like Hinderer or Strider plus the HCS rotary, and then it was like CRK plus the Makizu Haiku. Remember those
Yeah, yeah,
combinations?
yeah, yeah.
Like
Because
the
those were all
super,
like Grail tier. Yeah,
yeah, all of the Grail tier stuff. Yeah,
yeah. That's very old school, old
very very
man.
old school.
Yeah. So, what do you think
But
about this carry overall?
I think that it's good that he has the pry tool so that he doesn't ruin his knife when dealing with like soil and crop
Mm-hmm.
management. If he needs to like work in the dirt, I
Yeah.
would rather he not use his expensive hinderer knife and rather use the solid chunk of steel
Mm.
than the other one. Yeah. And I like how like the accents of the brass are also in like the, what is this, fat
Like this.
carbon?
Yeah, like the scale kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of
and it
matches
kind
the
of
brass stuff.
matches, and it
Yeah.
matches this pattern as well on the pry
Yeah.
bar.
So there's a lot of like subtle synergy going on with the
Yeah.
carry, which I like. Yeah.
Do you know if the Raylight Pineapple is a high CRI flashlight
It
in
is.
general? It is.
Generally all of the stuff that Ray makes now
Uh huh.
is 519A.
Yeah.
Yeah, super high CRI, very nice enthusiast, but also very affordable and accessible lights.
Right. So
Yeah.
I mentioned that because I'm thinking if you're looking at not props, if you're looking at crops and you need to
Props.
assess the quality of them and like maybe you're inspecting them and seeing if like the color is correct, then it
Mm,
helps to have a light like this where the color rendering index is more accurate, right? It's just higher.
right.
So it's like a good example of not just getting like an enthusiast light for like just being an
And
enthusiast, but also like it actually helps you do your job better. But I'm just making that up. I don't know what an agronomist actually does, but
yeah.
I can imagine that that is like an actual use case. So
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty cool.
And brass is also hypoallergenic. So if you're like hands in the dirt, you don't want to pass it like any germs and stuff onto your gear. So
Oh,
if you're riding
antimicrobial.
antimicrobial, sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
not hypoallergenic. And yeah, if you're writing down stuff, you're writing down notes in the course of your day as for your
yeah,
work.
yeah,
Brass makes a lot of sense, and also for a light if you're working in the evenings. Yeah,
yeah.
I like it. Nice,
So
solid looking stuff.
thick,
Actual
yeah.
solid stuff. Nice, thick, and solid
Uh-huh.
pieces of metal.
Yeah. So thank you, Chiltepin underscore EDC for that. And then lastly, our last submission here. This is from Aiden Rod in Facebook. And this is actually a 2-for-1. This is
Mm,
two EDCs, I imagine, that are
yeah.
very similar, but kind of like dark mode, light mode almost with the blades here.
Mm.
So let's see. On the left, there is uh, some kind of Victorinox, maybe the
A
cadet.
custom Victorinox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an Olight i5T EOS. There's a, I think, is this
It's
a
either
tactile?
could be a tactile or a refine.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from
Looks
this
like a
thing.
tactile. Looks like a tactile.
Yeah. What else?
He doesn't say.
Yeah, and then we've also got. Oh, sorry, clicked out.
And the Vero
Yeah,
Engineering
Vero Engineering
Synapse.
Synapse. Yep, and two colorways, and then on the right side we got the Big Eye.
Big idea.
Yeah, Big Eye Design Bolt Action Pen, and then another Raylight Pineapple Mini, and then some other modded Victorinox.
With micarta this time. Looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, which left or right side for you? I think right side for
Right side for me, for sure.
right
Easy.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really like the black finish on blades.
I do, but in this case, the satin one just looks better to me.
The reason I like satin is and just actually just like the raw color of
Raw,
metals
yeah.
for the most part, I like that more just because it shows the form of whatever that part is. And Vero engineering design language is just so pretty to look at. It's like very
is,
angular. So I like to see, because like you can even see like the mixed like finishing and like the way that the the like light changes here, like the swedge is like completely black because it's reflecting in a different direction from the top of the
Yeah,
blade, and
yeah,
then you can see like the brushing here, and then even the
yeah.
fuller is like slightly different. Whereas you look at the black, and it's just like, okay, it's black and like stonewash. So you kind of
Mhm.
don't get that from a visual perspective.
Yeah.
But of course, like coating the blade kind of helps with corrosion resistance, right?
You know what? You know what I feel like? If he had populated the left stuff with majority black stuff with gold or black accents, it would have made the
Uh,
left pop out a bit more
okay.
versus like looking similar to the right side. Because I think
Yeah.
the right side works in just like the satin and the lighter colors and then the bronze accents. But then on the left side, if he had gone majority black, then you would have like a dark mode, light mode situation,
Hmm.
and I would have
Okay.
chosen left. Yeah.
I feel bad for our like Spotify listeners who are like, what are these dudes talking about? This is
Yeah.
just like a highly aesthetic evaluation of this carry. So
Now
maybe
check
we
out
can
the
speak.
YouTube video.
Yeah, maybe we can speak to like the actual functionality of this kind of setup. So
Yeah.
on both of them, we have a Swiss Army knife, like a multi-tool, right? And then we
Mhm,
have a like AAA sized ish flashlight, so like
mhm.
handheld flashlight. And then we have some kind of bolt action pen, and then we have a frame lock folder. So
Yeah.
yeah, the
So all
overall
bases
carry,
covered.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The overall carry is quite utilitarian, and
Yeah.
these individual items as well are from great brands.
Yeah. Very well curated on both sides. Yeah.
Yeah,
With some customization also,
yeah,
like the swapped out scales, the Damascus button on the bolt of the Big Idea design
hmm
could be. I can't really tell. But yeah, this guy knows his stuff and likes really nice tools, very aesthetic. I like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is kind of unrelated. Well, sort of related, but would you, as an EDC enthusiast or collector or something, build sets like this? Because to me, this is beyond redundancy. It's almost like, if you showed HR, they'd be like, it's the same picture. Um, so I'm like, I don't know for me if this is enough differentiation to like invest in these pieces, especially like the like say you love the Vero Synapse or whatever, and you just like get two versions of it. I don't know. I might like get a different knife or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So you're saying they're both of them are kind of too similar to each other.
may kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I would build different themes with like similar sizes, but not the exact same knife in different colors.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you're saying, right? Like I wouldn't get
Mm-hmm.
like a red bug out and a blue bug out and then um build across blue and red. Rather, I would get a similar 3-inch crossbar lock
Mm-hmm.
and then theme my way with that and not just also be another brass flashlight but from a different
Yeah.
brand, also be another brass pen just from a different brand,
Yeah.
like mixing it up with the themes and the materials and the capabilities, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's not to say that Aiden Rod doesn't have nice
Sure.
stuff, like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, this is all great, and I think they're both excellent setups. And I posed that question, kind of thinking like, well, I wouldn't do something like this. And then I think about the things that I actually own, and I'm like, yeah, they're like literally all the
Yeah,
same product. Like, what is
you
wrong
did
with
think
you?
about it.
Yeah. So, anyway, thank you,
Who
Aiden
am I to
Rod.
talk with all my all black stuff, right?
Yeah, dude. I actually saw
What do
your
I know
collection in
about?
person, and I'm just like, yeah, this is all the same thing.
Yeah, what do I know about
Yeah,
color?
so what do we know about anything, to be honest? So I
Yeah,
think with
it's
that
true.
said, we should probably just wrap up the show
That's
before we spew some more nonsense. So um, yeah. So that just about wraps it up for today's episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Please hit the subscribe, share with a friend, or follow us on our socials, which will be linked below. And if you want to be a part of our EDC community, feel free to hop into our Facebook group or Discord server for more real-time discussion with other EDCers. And lastly, if you have any feedback for us or questions you want answered on the show, you can shoot us an email at podcast@everydaycarry.com. Thank you so much for listening to Carry the Way. I'm Bernard.
and I'm Mikey.
And until the next one, peace.